The strangest and rarest phenomena ever caught on camera that terrified scientists. A massive glowing object silently drifted across the sky, then vanished without a trace. Millions of thin white strands fell from the air, covering an entire town as if the world had entered the apocalypse. Hundreds of snakes suddenly crawled up from beneath the ground right in front of people's homes. Every single one of these events was real, and they were all caught on camera. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Discovery Fact, the place where we explore strange mysteries, rare phenomena, and true stories that leave the world in shock. In today's video, you're about to witness some of the most unbelievable phenomena ever seen across different parts of the planet. From terrifying rains of mysterious creatures that forced residents to lock themselves inside their homes, to blazing red fireballs streaking across the skies of Chile, and UFO-like objects appearing in the night sky that sparked massive debates across social media. Every story featured in this video is based on real-life footage, no editing, no special effects, and perhaps that's exactly what makes these events more frightening than any horror movie ever made. Because sometimes, the world we live in still contains phenomena far beyond human understanding. Some mysteries appear for only a few brief moments, then disappear forever, leaving behind countless unanswered questions and theories. So what are these events really? Are they simply rare natural phenomena? Or could they be signs that there are still things out there humanity has yet to fully discover? Turn down the lights, put on your headphones, because what you're about to witness may completely change the way you see this world. Now, are you ready? If you are, then let's begin right now. "39 rattlesnakes hidden beneath a house. The terrifying discovery that shocked an entire Texas town." Some stories sound like something straight out of a horror movie, but this one actually happened beneath an ordinary home in a small town in Texas. And the most terrifying part is that the homeowners had been living right above it for a long time without realizing that a deadly nest was hiding beneath their feet. It all began when a plumber was called in to inspect the piping system underneath the house. At first, the job seemed completely routine, but everything changed when he crawled into the dark space beneath the floor and heard a strange sound. The unmistakable rattling noise of a rattlesnake. Just imagine it for a second. A cramped, dark, sweltering space with almost no escape route, and suddenly discovering dozens of highly venomous snakes lying just inches away from your face. At that moment, his heart probably felt like it stopped. At first, the plumber assumed there were only one or two snakes taking shelter underneath the house. But the farther he shined his flashlight into the darkness, the more horrified he became. More and more glowing eyes began appearing in the shadows. The snakes were coiled together around the gas pipes, piled on top of one another, nearly filling the entire crawl space beneath the home. Completely terrified, he immediately called in the professional snake removal team, Big Country Snake Removal, for emergency assistance. And that's when the real operation began. But it was far more difficult than anyone expected. The rescue workers had to wear full protective gear and crawl deep beneath the home's insulation. The space underneath was extremely cramped and suffocating, barely large enough for one person to squeeze through at a time. Meanwhile, the rattlesnakes continuously made warning sounds, ready to strike at any moment if they felt threatened. Just one bite could leave someone in critical condition without immediate medical treatment. But what gave people the chills the most was the growing number of snakes. Every time rescuers pulled one snake out, they discovered several more hidden behind pipes or beneath layers of insulation. It was almost as if the entire colony had chosen the house as its secret headquarters for years. After hours of intense and dangerous work, the rescue team finally captured a total of 39 highly venomous rattlesnakes. Just hearing that number alone is enough to send chills down anyone's spine. Normally, spotting even a single rattlesnake in the wild is enough to make people run away, but nearly 40 of them were hiding directly beneath someone's home. And even more disturbing, no one knows how long they had been there. Experts later explained that dark, enclosed, and humid spaces such as crawl spaces, storage areas, and pipe systems are ideal hiding spots for dangerous reptiles, especially during changing weather conditions. The incident also served as a warning to many families because there are places inside our homes that we rarely ever think to inspect. Just think about it. What if the plumber hadn't discovered them in time? Or what if one of the snakes had suddenly crawled up into the house? Even imagining it is terrifying, isn't it? Sometimes the scariest things aren't hiding out in open fields or deep forests, but right beneath our feet every single day. The mysterious creature rain that sent India into panic. Have you ever experienced a completely normal day only to look up and suddenly see thousands of strange creatures floating through the air? Not leaves, not ordinary insects, but pale white things, long, thin, and eerily pahojie to worms, falling from the sky in massive numbers. Just hearing about it sounds terrifying, right? But that's exactly what reportedly happened in India, and the bizarre phenomenon has sparked intense discussion across social media in recent days. The incident was reported in Bihar, a region in eastern India near the border with Nepal. At first, only a few short clips uploaded by local residents began circulating online. But the more people watched them, the more confused and unsettled they became. Under the glow of streetlights at night, countless white creatures could be seen drifting and swirling through the air before falling to the ground in waves like a bizarre rainstorm. The scene immediately reminded many people of Hollywood horror movies, the kind where nature starts behaving strangely right before something terrifying happens. What frightened residents the most was the fact that nobody knew exactly what the creatures were. They didn't look like ordinary insects, and few people were brave enough to get close and inspect them carefully. From a distance, the entire sky appeared covered in white strands flying chaotically around the lights. Some people even compared it to living confetti, because the creatures twisted and curled as if they were moving on their own while falling. The sight was disturbing enough that many families quickly shut their doors, turned off their lights, and stayed inside their homes. Several nearby businesses reportedly stopped operating temporarily out of fear that the creatures could be dangerous. Just imagine stepping outside to buy dinner, only to see thousands of strange things falling from the sky. Anyone would get chills from that. And honestly, you probably would too. But the strangest part is that despite how horrifying the phenomenon looked, there have been no confirmed reports of injuries or health problems connected to it so far, and that only made people even more curious. If the creatures weren't dangerous, then why were they appearing in such huge numbers? Where did they come from, and why did they seem to gather mostly around bright lights? As expected, social media quickly filled with theories. Some people believed it was a rare natural phenomenon caused by changing weather conditions. Others suggested the creatures may have been swept high into the air by strong winds or small tornadoes before falling back down under the right conditions. But many others connected the event to mysterious stories or even considered it some kind of ominous sign, simply because the sight looked so unnatural. What's even more interesting is that this is not the first time the world has witnessed bizarre rains of creatures. Back in 2015, for example, thousands of worms reportedly fell across large areas in Norway, causing frightened residents to repeatedly contact local authorities. More recently, in Liaoning, people recorded worm-like creatures covering cars and roads after an unusual weather event. At one point, residents were even advised to carry umbrellas outdoors to avoid being hit by falling creatures. It sounds unbelievable, but scientists say these kinds of phenomena can actually occur in nature. Certain small organisms may be lifted by strong winds, storms, or powerful air currents and then dropped far away from their original habitats. Even so, witnessing thousands of strange creatures flying beneath streetlights and falling like rain is still enough to send chills down anyone's spine. Because sometimes nature hides mysteries that humanity still cannot immediately explain. And perhaps the scariest part isn't how dangerous these creatures might be, but the fact that nobody knows exactly what they really are. So what about you? Have you ever witnessed anything like this before? If you have, leave a comment below and share your story with everyone. Share your story. The fireballs that tore across the skies of Chile. Can you imagine standing in the middle of a quiet night when the sky is suddenly ripped apart by blazing red fireballs streaking overhead at incredible speed? Most people would probably think that sounds like the opening scene of a science fiction movie. But no, this actually happened in Chile, and the terrifying sight left entire communities shaken for days. On the night of September 25th, residents living on the Kilauea archipelago suddenly spotted multiple glowing objects racing across the sky at extreme speed. Videos captured by witnesses showed brilliant red lights trailing long fiery tails, looking almost exactly like meteors crashing toward Earth. Some people even described them as living fireballs diving straight toward the ground. The moment left many residents completely stunned. Several witnesses said they were inside their homes when the entire sky suddenly lit up for a few brief seconds. The mysterious objects appeared and vanished so quickly that many people barely had time to understand what they had just seen. But what frightened everyone even more was what happened next. Shortly afterward, multiple wildfires suddenly broke out across different areas of the islands. Just imagine it. In the middle of the night, you see fiery objects falling from the sky, and only minutes later, nearby forests burst into flames. It's no surprise local residents panicked. As expected, social media quickly exploded with theories. Some believed the objects were meteors, while others became convinced that something from outer space had crashed onto Earth. The incident became so serious that Chilean authorities launched an official investigation. Geologists and mining experts were sent to inspect 7 wildfire locations believed to be possible impact sites. Many expected investigators to find scorched rocks, impact craters, or at least some kind of debris left behind by the mysterious objects. But strangely enough, they found nothing. No craters, no large fragments. And according to several nearby residents, there hadn't even been any loud explosion sounds. That only made the mystery even more unsettling. Because if large meteors had truly struck the ground, scientists say there should have been massive noise, visible impact marks, or physical evidence left behind. Some experts later rejected the theory that the fireballs had directly caused the wildfires. According to them, any object powerful enough to ignite multiple fires would likely have needed to be very large. Yet the scene showed no evidence that anything of that scale had ever landed there. And that's when UFO theories began spreading faster than ever. Many people became convinced the objects were alien spacecraft that had descended to Earth before mysteriously disappearing. It may sound unbelievable, but when there's no clear explanation, people naturally begin imagining the wildest possibilities. Even so, scientists still lean more toward the idea that the objects were space debris, fragments from old satellites, rockets, or other equipment burning up as they entered Earth's atmosphere. Thousands of objects like these fall toward our planet every year, but most land in oceans or remote areas where nobody notices them. However, what makes this case especially fascinating is that even astrophysicist Jonathan McDowell stated that he could not find clear evidence proving the objects were space debris. And that is exactly what makes the Chile incident so mysterious. Right now, soil samples collected from the wildfire areas are still being analyzed in laboratories to determine what truly visited the skies of Chile that night. Until a final conclusion is reached, those blazing red fireballs will remain one of the most intriguing mysteries for people around the world. Because sometimes, the scariest part isn't what the object in the sky actually is, but the fact that humanity still cannot explain where it came from. The mysterious triangular object seen over Beijing's sky. Have you ever been walking outside in the early evening, casually looked up at the sky, and suddenly seen a massive glowing object silently drifting overhead? No sound. No blinking lights like a normal airplane. Just a strange glowing shape gliding across the sky before fading away as if it had never existed at all. If not, then let's head to Beijing. Because at around 6 p.m. on January 14th, residents across Beijing were stunned after spotting a mysterious glowing object appearing in the sky above the city. The weather that evening was exceptionally clear, with no clouds and excellent visibility. So many people quickly pulled out their phones to record the strange sight. Within just a few hours, images and videos of the object spread rapidly across Chinese social media, generating more than 900,000 posts filled with theories and speculation. What caught people's attention the most was the object's unusual shape. According to numerous witnesses, the object appeared to have 3 bright lights forming an isosceles triangle. The lights glowed continuously without blinking like those on a normal aircraft. It moved extremely quickly from west to east before gradually fading away like mist and disappearing completely. The sight immediately reminded many people of a UFO. Some witnesses even insisted that it could not possibly have been an airplane or drone because its speed and movement looked far too unusual. What made the situation even stranger was that it wasn't only seen in Beijing. Residents in other parts of China, including Tianjin, Shanxi, and Shandong, also reported seeing a similar object in the sky. Some described it as a dim glowing orb, while others claimed it looked like an alien spacecraft silently gliding through the night. And of course, the moment the word UFO appeared online, social media exploded. Theories quickly began spreading everywhere. Some believed it was secret military technology. Others thought it could be extraterrestrial activity. A few accounts even claimed it was proof that Earth is being monitored from outer space. Among them was Wang Zhuoxiao, a researcher at the Astronomical Technology Center of Tsinghua University. According to him, the mysterious object was most likely not a UFO at all, but rather the visible aftermath of a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket launch. The Falcon 9 rocket is used to carry Starlink satellites into low Earth orbit. He explained that after completing a satellite deployment mission, rockets often release leftover fuel. When this happens at very high altitudes, the fuel can interact with special atmospheric conditions and reflect sunlight, creating enormous glowing clouds that appear extremely strange from the ground. That reflection effect can make people believe they are seeing a mysterious flying object in the sky. Even more interestingly, because the rocket continues rotating and adjusting its position while stabilizing its orbit, the fuel cloud can become distorted, creating shapes that resemble triangles or even classic UFOs. Another astronomer from the Beijing Planetarium agreed with this explanation. He noted that a similar phenomenon had already appeared in northern China back in 2023 and was eventually linked to rocket launch activity as well. Even so, one thing is undeniable. If you witnessed a sight like that with your own eyes, staying calm would not be easy. After all, it's not every day that we see a giant glowing object silently crossing the sky before disappearing without a trace. And perhaps that's exactly why humanity has always been fascinated by mysteries in the heavens above. Because sometimes, all it takes is one strange light appearing in the darkness to make the entire world wonder whether there are still things out there we have yet to understand. So what about you? When you first saw this phenomenon, what was the very first thing that came to your mind? Angel hair falling from the sky. The mysterious phenomenon that left the world confused. You've probably heard of fish rain, frog rain, or other bizarre weather phenomena reported around the world, right? But there's an even stranger phenomenon that sounds almost impossible to believe. Millions of thin white strands suddenly falling from the sky, covering houses, trees, and entire streets like something straight out of a science fiction movie. People call this phenomenon angel hair. It sounds beautiful and almost poetic, but those who have witnessed it in person say their first reaction wasn't wonder, it was pure chills. One well-known case occurred in the town of Goulburn in New South Wales. One ordinary morning, residents stepped outside only to discover countless white strands floating everywhere in the air. The mysterious fibers clung to rooftops, fences, cars, and even covered large open fields. From a distance, the entire town looked as if someone had draped it in a gigantic white silk blanket. What made the sight even stranger was that the strands didn't remain still. They floated gently through the air, shimmering in the sunlight like silver threads before slowly drifting down to the ground. Some residents initially thought they were witnessing snowfall in the middle of summer, but when people looked closer, they realized the substance resembled spider silk more than anything they had ever seen before. However, that was only the beginning. What makes the angel hair phenomenon truly mysterious is how quickly the strands often disappear. In some cases, people tried to collect samples for research, only for the material to dissolve or evaporate right before their eyes. Some witnesses even claimed that when touched, the strands transformed into a jelly-like substance before vanishing completely. And at that point, many people naturally began thinking about extraterrestrials. Once photos and videos of the phenomenon spread online, countless theories started appearing. Some believed it was evidence of UFOs passing through the sky. Others suspected it could be mysterious chemicals released into the atmosphere. A few even insisted that angel hair was something not native to Earth at all. And Australia wasn't the only place where it had appeared. Similar incidents have reportedly been observed in France, Canada, Finland, and Portugal. One especially strange case occurred in Portugal in 2014, where witnesses claimed the mysterious white strands appeared almost alive when viewed under ultraviolet light. Despite all the frightening theories, scientists have proposed a more grounded explanation. According to several researchers, the phenomenon may actually be connected to spiders. It sounds unbelievable, but many small spider species are capable of traveling long distances by releasing silk threads and allowing the wind to carry them through the air, a behavior known as ballooning. When enormous numbers of spiders do this simultaneously under the right weather conditions, such as cool temperatures and light winds, millions of silk strands can spread across huge areas, creating what people call angel hair. Australian researcher Keith Basterfield said he has been studying the phenomenon since the 1970s. According to him, spiders often produce large amounts of silk after floods or major weather changes in order to quickly escape dangerous environments. As the morning sunlight grows stronger, the delicate strands rapidly break apart and disappear. Even so, there is still no completely official conclusion explaining every case of this strange phenomenon. One reason is that researchers are not always able to collect physical samples before the material vanishes. So what do you think is really causing it? Let us know your theory in the comments below if you think you know the answer. Man was left frozen in fear after more than 100 snakes emerged from his yard in the middle of the night. The incident took place in the village of Samauli in India, where a farmer named Mahfouz Saifi experienced a moment he will probably never forget for the rest of his life. On the night of June 1st, just as he was preparing to go to bed, he suddenly noticed a snake inside his yard. Thinking it was just a normal situation, he quickly killed the snake to protect his family. But moments later, another snake began crawling out from an area near the front of the house. Then another one appeared, then another, and then more and more snakes kept emerging non-stop. Do you know what the scariest feeling is? It's not seeing a single snake. It's not knowing how many more are still hiding in the darkness. According to local residents, within a short period of time, dozens of snakes began slithering out from a slope near Mahfouz's yard. They crawled everywhere, throwing the entire family into panic. News spread rapidly throughout the village, and large crowds of residents rushed to the scene. The situation quickly became chaotic. Some people carried flashlights, others grabbed sticks, and everyone tried desperately to figure out where the snakes were coming from. But the more they searched, the more snakes continued appearing. They kept emerging from underground as if a massive snake nest existed beneath the yard itself. Just imagine standing in the middle of the night surrounded by hundreds of snakes writhing around your feet. Anyone would be terrified. Fearing that the snakes might crawl into homes or attack children in the village, many residents began killing them on the spot. According to initial reports, more than 50 snakes were killed and buried in a nearby pit. However, many people believe the total number of snakes that appeared may have been far higher. Videos recorded at the scene quickly spread across social media and left thousands of viewers horrified. Some people even said the footage looked like something straight out of a horror movie. The very next day, local forestry officials sent an investigation team to inspect the entire incident. But then an unexpected announcement shocked many residents. According to forestry officer Rajesh Kumar, the snakes found in the village were actually not venomous. They were a species that normally lives in water or hides in damp places such as drainage systems, ditches, and sewers. Even more surprising, the species is legally protected under Wildlife Protection Act of 1972 in India. That means residents are not legally allowed to kill them without first informing local authorities. But at the same time, many people understand why the villagers reacted the way they did. Because when dozens of snakes suddenly emerge in the middle of the night, it's incredibly difficult for anyone to remain completely calm. When fear takes over, a person's first instinct is almost always to protect themselves and their family. Some experts later suggested that changing weather conditions or disturbances to the snake's habitat may have forced the group to relocate in large numbers while searching for new shelter. Even now, however, many residents in the village still remain traumatized by that terrifying night. Honestly, even watching the footage through a screen is enough to give people chills, let alone facing the situation in real life. And those were some of the strangest and rarest phenomena ever captured on camera. Events that have left people around the world debating and searching for answers for years. Some of these mysteries may seem as if they've already been explained by science, yet the deeper people investigate them, the more unbelievable details continue to emerge. The world we live in is still filled with countless mysteries beyond human understanding, and sometimes all it takes is one brief moment appearing in the sky or unfolding in real life to send chills through millions of people. If you want to discover even more mysterious phenomena like these, don't forget to follow Discovery Fact by subscribing to the channel and turning on notifications. And for now, goodbye, and we'll see you again in the next video.